Hi everyone, welcome to this new video. Today I'm going to present a grammar lesson from the third year English program, sequence 2, Me and My Lifestyles, or Me and Lifestyles. Before I tackle the lesson, I'd like to show you how to present the pronunciation lesson of ed endings, which is supposed to be integrated in the grammar lesson of past simple tense or the grammar lesson of past simple tense with ago. Here, as a preparation phase, as you may know, pronunciation is a sub-skill just like grammar. We have to present it as a PPU lesson. So presentation, practice and produce. Of course, before presentation, I'm going to prepare my pupils for the pronunciation lesson or for the presentation phase. I'm going to ask them to classify these verbs in the table, regular and irregular verbs. They're going to classify to look, to live and to decide in the regular verbs column, and to see and to understand in the irregular verbs column. Here the aim is to, as I said, prepare your pupils for the presentation phase, and also to make them understand that ed endings concerns only regular verbs. It means the verbs that end with ed, not the irregular verbs. Then I move to the presentation phase. I'm going to ask first my pupils to conjugate the verbs in the past simple. So they're going to add ed for the regular verbs, and then you're going to focus on the pronunciation. You're going to ask 3 or 4 pupils to try to read the verbs, highlighting the final of each verb. And then you're going to read for them and ask them about the difference. So we're going to say looked, lived, decided, and before you draw this table, you're going to ask them, do you have a difference in pronunciation? If yes, what is the difference? And then you're going to draw the table to the and ed, and you insist on the fact that to the ed is just a pronunciation. It means the sound, and it should be written between slashes. As you may see, my dear pupils, ed is written the same way in the verbs, but in the table it's written between slashes. It means here we're going to focus on the sound of ed. The first one is looked. So it should be, they're going to classify it into, lived in the, and decided in id, and then you're going to interact with your pupils to make them isolate, analyze, and so on. Here, maybe there is no isolation, but I'm going to analyze. Why have we classified looked in the first column, lived in the second column, and decided in the third column? So they're going to answer. You're going to listen to them trying to get the answer correct, and then you're going to tell them that the pronunciation of ed depends on the sound which comes before. Here I insist on sound because they're going to see in some verbs that we have like a vowel or a consonant which is maybe silent, so we are going to focus on the sound which comes before ed. So when we have que, ed is pronounced t. When we have de, ed is pronounced de. When you have d, ed is pronounced id. And here we don't have these sounds only, we have a list of sounds. And then you're going to, don't make them draw the table on their copybooks. They're going to write looked, lived, and decided the way they are written on the screen, on their copybooks, and then you're going to add the other sounds down. So we're going to mention the sound and the example next to it. Of course, you're going to mention the vowel sounds O, W, O, Y, A, Y, I, E, and U that are going to be classified in the D column, and you explain that GH is the pronunciation of GH is F. You explain that in T we have double S, and in D we have S, because they're going to see that SS is the same and it's the same sound. You explain to them that double S is pronounced S, and one S is pronounced Z in verbs. After that, you're going to present an activity. Here we are in the practice phase. You're going to ask them to classify some words in the table, or you present the activity of crossing out the odd word. Okay, you present, for example, a sound, the sound, and you're going to integrate a verb with to sound, and then you're going to ask them to cross it out. So you're free to present the activities you want. Lesson is supposed to be integrated in the lesson of past simple tense or the lesson of past simple tense with ago. Now I move to my today's lesson. So it's going to be a grammar lesson following the framework of PPU. The objective of my lesson, my pupils will be able to talk about past habits using the semi-modal used to with its three forms. In the warm-up phase, you are free to make your pupils play the game you want, and then we move directly to preparation. So in the preparation phase, I introduced a listening script. I made my pupils listen to a script twice or maybe 3 times depending on the level of your pupils, and I have of course relied on the dialogue of Jenny and Grandma, and I introduced the items I need for my presentation phase. I have used the 3 forms of used to in order to be well presented in the next phase. After you make them listen, you're going to ask them some questions concerning the script, and then you move to examples. Of course, you write the date, sequence to lesson, and you write examples. You leave the title of the lesson empty because your pupils are going to deduce the title by themselves. In the examples, I'm going to introduce the interrogative form with its 2 types, the short answer and affirmative, and of course negative. And then I'm going to interact with my pupils, asking them questions. How many questions do we have? What is the difference between the first question and the second question? So the first one is a yes or no question, the second one is a WH question. We get a short answer in the first question and we get an affirmative sentence in the second question. Can you identify the verbs and the subject? And here you explain that used to plus verb stem is one verb. You have to write it in red in order to be clear. And you highlight that the verb contains 3 parts, and you ask them what does the verb express, and you can help them. Does your grandma still play hopscotch? No. So that was a past habit which was like repeated frequently. So it is the past, but it was like a habit. So you explain that used to is used for habits, and you explain too that it's not a verb, it is a semi-modal. It's not a modal, but it's a semi-modal. And you ask them to give you examples, of course relying on the examples you gave them. Here this phase is called, it is not a phase, but it is called like drills. They have to like give you many questions and answers and negative form so that they can like understand better. And then you're going to ask them what is the title of today's lesson. You're going to write the title, and of course don't forget to mention that the first one is a yes or no question, that yes we did is a short answer, and do you add no we didn't, to show them the negative form of short answers. You mentioned that WH question, who is a WH question. Here I just wanted to focus on WH question, which is who, and you mentioned that with this WH question we directly introduce used to and we don't use the auxiliary did. But don't mention the other WH questions because it's going to be complicated. Just leave this after. Now you mention only that who is like has an exception, so we say who used to directly the auxiliary, except if you put with at the end, you're going to add did to who. Then we move directly to the activities. The first activity is going to be a form based. It means you're going to focus on the structure or on the order of the words in the sentence. Here I introduced an interrogative sentence, a negative sentence, and an affirmative sentence. In activity, I asked my pupils to circle the correct choice. Here I focused somehow on the form too, because like in this kind of the lessons, the form is very important. Then we move to the third activity. Here I asked my pupils to match the questions to their answers, so here they have to understand. And the last activity, I asked my pupils to rely on the pictures to complete these past habits, so they're going to be like more independent compared to the other activities. They have the pictures and they have the verbs, and they're going to write sentences using the semi-modal used to. In this phase of use, you can of course introduce an activity in which you ask your pupils to complete a dialogue. So here we use the interrogative form and the negative form and the affirmative form too. So you are really free. I just gave you an example, and then you're free to introduce the activity you want. Thank you, my dear followers, for watching this video. I hope it was useful. Don't forget to subscribe, like, comment, and share. Take care of yourselves. Goodbye.